Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring Legends of Avallen, the core rulebook. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this Celtic mythology inspired fantasy RPG, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about Mortal Conditions and the character arc. Let's start with Mortal Conditions. These bring you closer to death and can have unique rules for their recovery. One of such conditions is withering, which means your body or mind is drastically deteriorating. Withering must often be recovered as soon as possible by eliminating the source of it or by using healing. While withering, you periodically gain the least severe, recoverable or mortal condition you do not already have. Withering has variants that determine how frequently it triggers, withering in seconds, hours, or days. We also have wounded. Being wounded means you have suffered severe physical, magical, or mental injury and are significantly debilitated because of it. While wounded, all of your attributes are reduced by 2. Wounded is recovered in a few ways. Treating a wound with a short rest to regain 1 to both of either your physical or mental attributes. Or recovering the wound once, such as during a long rest, to regain 1 to all of your attributes. You can also recover the wound a second time to regain the rest of your attributes and remove the wound from your character sheet. If you become wounded while you already have an untreated wound, you instead fall unconscious and begin dying. If you become wounded while you have a treated wound, you instead lose all treatment and recovery progress for that wound. Then we have dying. If you begin dying, you fall unconscious. While unconscious, you cannot take actions, resist checks, or be awakened. While dying, you will perish after a similar length of time to a short rest, that is, between 10 to 20 minutes, unless someone expends a supply to treat your wound, in which case you will stop dying and instead regain consciousness once that time has passed. If you are dying but have not suffered a wound that can be treated, then either you are far too old or otherworldliness is afoot. If your character dies, that's it. There is not much to be done except to honor the character with the appropriate funeral rites and then create a new character. There is no known magic that can bring life back to the dead, though there are rumors of powerful artifacts that can do such things. And of course, the Valak believe the Ever-Stranger has dominion over death, though finding him will be just as difficult as convincing him to revive a soul. Then we have permanent injuries. It is possible, through an extremely dramatic, risky, or legendary act of play, that you gain a permanent wound, such as the loss of an eye or limb. If this happens, it is up to you and the game master to decide what that means for your character. This could mean a permanent disadvantage to related actions, or even the inability to take them. Of course, people adapt and overcome life-changing injuries and disabilities all the time. Many a legendary figure did not make it to the end of their tale all in one piece. If your character suffers permanent injury, you can find ways to mitigate it or commission a device from a legendary crafter to assist you. It is also possible that over a long enough time, you find that your character's body is strengthening other capabilities to compensate, and so you may be disadvantaged in some actions, but greatly advantaged in others. Next, we have the character arc. Through the tales they weave, your character will grow and change, following a character arc throughout their legend, with periods of resolve, descent, transformation, and recognition. When you reach the adventurer tier at level 4, you enter a period of resolve, committing to the life of an adventurer. Your resolve becomes a powerful resource you now have access to. It can be spent to turn fate in a crucial moment in a similar way that exertion can. However, resolve is not restored through rest or repairs. Instead, it must be earned by overcoming a burden related to your personal flaw or motivation by using your virtue or motivation in a positive way. To gain the benefits of resolve, you must first gain a burden. You become burdened by taking an action that invokes your flaw or motivation in a detrimental way to yourself or your party. To do so, you must tell the game master you want to claim a burden for the action invoking your flaw or motivation. If they agree that the action is detrimental and relates to your personal aspect, then you gain a burden. You can gain a burden once in a day, and only if you do not already have a burden or resolve. While you have a burden, you can redeem it to earn resolve. You redeem a burden by taking an action that invokes your virtue or motivation in a positive way for yourself, your party, or for others. To do so, you must tell the game master you want to redeem your burden for the action invoking your virtue or motivation. If they agree that the action is positive and related to your personal aspect, then you get rid of your burden and earn resolve. If the action requires a check, you obtain a bonus to your rank for the check. While you have resolve, you can expend it to gain a bonus to your rank in any check. Once you have done that, you will have to redeem a new burden to earn your resolve back again. Once you reach the veteran tier at level 7, you enter a period of descent, a time of internal conflict, self-doubt, or introspection for your character. You should question who they are, how they might come to terms with their flaw, and how they want to impact the world around them. To reflect this, you will no longer be able to earn resolve. You can still redeem a burden and get a bonus to a check in the process, but in doing so, you gain no resolve that you can freely expend on another check later. Once you reach the hero tier at level 10, you enter a period of transformation, an opportunity to act on any questions answered during descent about your character and make a meaningful change if you wish. You may change one of your personal aspects to another of the same kind. You may change your motivation to another motivation, your virtue to another virtue that is unrelated to your flaw, or your flaw to another flaw that is unrelated to your virtue. You can now again earn resolve by redeeming a burden. Once you reach the legend tier at level 13, you enter a time of recognition, where you come to terms with who your character really is, and your character arc ends. At this point, you choose if your legend is one of virtues or one of flaws. In the case of Legend of Virtues, you are a true hero. You have overcome your flaw and are no longer burdened by it. You now sleep restlessly, knowing there is yet more good to do in the world. Remove your flaw from your character sheet and replace it with its related virtue. You can no longer gain a burden through your personal aspects. Instead, whenever you wake up from a long rest, you gain a burden. In the case of Legend of Flaws, you are an anti-hero. You have succumbed to your flaws and no longer need to redeem your burdens. You instead embrace them and sleep easy with your amoral ways. Remove your virtue from your character sheet and replace it with your choice of one of its related flaws. You can no longer gain or redeem a burden through your personal aspects. Instead, you now gain resolve by taking an action related to your flaws or motivation to benefit you or your party. If the action requires a check, you get a bonus to your rank for the check. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part, we are going to talk about combat actions. As you can see, when it comes to the character arc, this is pretty much a marriage between the theme and the mechanics, leading all the way to a path of virtue or vice. And the deadly conditions remind you that although you have the potential to become a legend, danger is always looming, always waiting for you to make a tactical blunder. I like the streamlined nature of these conditions, especially withering, because you can apply it to sickness, perhaps someone set you on fire, so now you need to put out that fire before you die. So you can handle continuous damage from all sorts of sources. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.